أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي.
For our story night with Zara Muhammad. And now, if you don't know who Zara is, first of all, I have no idea what rock you've been living under for the past 5 years. Second of all, get caught up. And thirdly, okay, I'll introduce her. So Zara Muhammad is the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. She's the first female in the organization's history to be elected, and also the youngest person to serve in this role. Previously, she has served as the President of Forces from 2016 to 2017. Again, the only female to be elected in that position. She has a law background, she's Scottish, and the rest I'll let her introduce herself. Welcome, and it's an absolute privilege and honor for us to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Is that okay? Is it too high? That's okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm so delighted to be here as a former Isocer and president of FOSIS. I was speaking to your president earlier and I said I think it took it too far. I was a little diehard Isoc back in my day. And here I am now, still doing it, but at a grown-up level. So I guess what I really wanted to share with you today in story time is maybe the answer to two questions, which is why and how. Because that's what people always ask me, how on earth did you get elected? And I guess before doing that, I should really give a big shout out to our chaplain, who has just been so fantastic in hosting me. And he didn't pressure me into saying this, but I have to say that he's quite an amazing individual, so make dua for him. We're very, very blessed to have him on campus. So with my own journey, I think from probably the place that you're sitting at right now, and even before that, I've always had a real passion for helping people, and I think that kind of underpins who we are as Muslims. I actually put my hijab on at university in second year, but I was always really practicing and always I just wanted to help, I wanted to serve, and I wanted to strengthen my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but through whatever way that he felt was right, and that seemed to be through the community space. So when it wasn't really until university and I found Islamic society that I thought, oh my God, what is this? Great, sign me up to everything. Not a good idea. Take balance, guys. But fast forwarding that journey to getting involved in the MCB, which by the way, I didn't have a clue what on earth it was, and so for your benefit, it's basically the largest and most representative Muslim umbrella body organization. So if you can imagine, back in the day when you've all heard of the Salman Rushdie satanic verses, all that stuff. So Muslim communities were still in their early days, there was a lot happening, but there was no coordination. And when Salman Rushdie's situation happened, it was the first time British Muslims said, enough is enough. Our faith is not up for joke. Our faith, we're not going to compromise on this level. And so the MCB was actually established to bring communities together so that we could articulate our challenge in a constructive way, because we know what happened. So anyway, I got involved in the MCB straight after I was finished with FOSIS presidency. I said, what is this thing? It's old, everybody's older, it's slow, what's the point? And then COVID happened, I was involved in everything. But the real question that came to my mind, as I was traveling up and down, is, well, what are we actually doing? What are we changing? Muslim communities, I'm third generation, British Pakistani, and I know our institutions haven't changed a lot. And that really bugged me, especially when in Isoc I could do so many things, go to Jummah every week. My first time doing Jummah was at the Isoc prayer room. But masjids haven't changed. We've got over-representation of prison population, Muslim youth, domestic abuse, and youth unemployment, you name it, our statistics are great where it shouldn't be. And on the other side, we have more people than ever going to university, but social mobility is poor. We are some of the worst when it comes to unemployment. And guess what? 50% of every British Muslim in this country is under the age of 25. So that means this massive institution called the MCB is making decisions that impact young people, but I don't see any young people. So I took on a really crazy decision to take a step forward. And someone said to me, Zara, isn't it about time? So I ran in the election, which was really, really difficult because I ran against someone who was very well known and way more, about like 20 years older than me, way more influential, way more charismatic. but I kind of beat him by a majority. Alhamdulillah. So people say to me, why? Right? And then I'll answer also the how. Because I think all of you in this room have been part of my journey, which is you want to see Islam and Muslims being perceived differently, i.e. just as we are, not as how we're defined to be. Number two, you actually want to have a successful and prosperous life in which you don't have to justify your faith, explain your identity, and have other people hijack it anytime something happens in the news. As you recall, just 2 weeks ago, there was the murder of a really notable MP. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples now of what I actually do. So that happened. Every single one of us, I'm sure, whether you're watching it from TV or myself, directly thinking, please no, right? So as soon as, and we got, we were kind of at a very early stage, we knew that this wasn't going to be good for our communities. The story wasn't going to be good. So we had to think about what are the repercussions. This year marked 20 years since the war on terror and 9/11. 20 years. We've been putting our head down for 20 years. Our parents and a whole generation of Muslims have had to grow up in post 9/11 era. We are the ones that have to carry that legacy, but now change it. So when people ask me why, I say because enough is enough. We are British Muslims and we should be confident to not have to hide or justify our identity, our values, or anytime something happens in the news, explain it. And for those of you unaware, when it comes down to it, and these situations happened, it's the MCB that has to respond. So since I've been elected, people say to me, Zara, you've got 5 minutes, you'll be live on Sky News. I hope you're ready. And before, that would petrify me, just the idea that I've got to, what am I going to say? But now I say, I really welcome it. I don't mind, because what are we hiding? I don't think we need to hide anymore. So when I was elected, it was historic. People were like, oh my God, I can't believe Muslim communities elected a woman. So just imagine this, yeah? Most of our affiliate base is men and masjids. They voted for a 29-year-old female to represent and lead the largest Muslim representative organisation in the UK. The right wing couldn't handle it, and certain parts of the media couldn't handle it too. They said I was a puppet, a nice face, pleasant Scottish accent, but she's not going to be the real boss. She's not in charge. Have you guys seen my really famous Women's Hour interview? You seen that? Yeah. So day 4, I got my real taste of media experience. I was told it was going to be a really lovely interview, and we were just having a really intimate conversation about my journey. The story before my story was about dog walking, and this really hard time that women that joggers have. I was like, oh, this show should be really easy, they're really sympathetic. As soon as I came on, the presenter changed. Totally hostile. And you don't see it, but I was in a Zoom call with other women watching. They were recording as well, and I'm sitting there. Day 4, I've just been elected. And she's asking me basically loaded questions. There was no ambition to understand me or Muslims, but it was loaded questions, female imams, extremism, all this other stuff. And I knew where she wanted to go with the question. But I said to myself, okay, Zara, how are we going to deal with this? Because when you're in a live interview, guys, you don't really have too much time to think. You just got to be cool and respond. Is it me? I think there's some interference.
Try moving your phone away. Your phone away from your ear.
Oh.
Maybe try putting it on the table.
Really good story as well. Just like, what a whirlwind.
Yeah, that's
Is that good?
Yeah,
Okay. Anyway, where were we? So I had to make a decision. And I think this is a decision that we all have to face in our life, which is how do we respond? What do we do when we're threatened? Do we get defensive, hostile, and angry? Do we play it cool? Do we apologize? What do we do? So I said, well, Zara, who am I trying to represent here? Who's my message to? Who is my base? Muslim communities. Don't they deserve more? Yeah, they do. So I'm not going to play along, my friend. So I challenged her back, which made her a bit angry, but I played it really cool. And the whole point is, and my reason why, is because I really want to show a strength in our faith and the dignity of our religion, but I also want to show that a faith-based leadership is one that is exemplary for everyone. And when I represent women, I don't just represent Muslim women. And when I represent a young person in leadership, I don't just represent Muslim young youth, right? What I'm trying to achieve here is a vision of transformation for British Muslim communities. I've spoken to some of the most senior conservative Muslim scholars, to some of the most liberal. And my vision really for transformation and change is that we have places of worship, not just mosques here, that are inclusive of everybody. I spoke to revert groups, Black Muslim community, you name it. And on the other side of that is an effective and articulate voice of representation, both in media, politics, and policy. I say to a lot of Muslims say to me, Zara, we need government to listen, we need to do this, we need to do that. But my challenge is, what is our policy ask? How are we actually articulating what we want? So for a long time, a lot of our conversation is very emotive, it's very charged, but where is the intellectual output? Where are the voices that have really cohesive policies and change? A lot of our counterparts, they have a really clear policy ask. They'll go meet a member of parliament, these are the things that we want, and this is when we want them. A lot of people have said to me, recently we had a crisis in Palestine. You need to sort this out, Zara. Oh, really? Okay. I've had huge parts of the Muslim community. You need to sort out this huge sector, Hajj, halal. Okay, sure. And then I have people come up to me and say, Zara, the family is just breaking down. Young people are leaving our religion. People are really confused about their place. COVID, we've had a spike in mental health unlike anything we've ever experienced before. Suicide rates in our community. So really, I think our challenge, aside from all the other stuff that goes on around us, is really within us. And I say to people, you want me to deliver a lot of change. Are you going to help me? I've spoken to some of the big corporates featured in Vogue, spoke at the G20, attended COP26 just last week in Glasgow, which was great. And my real message to all of you, who I've been speaking for, is to really consider what you want to do. I think all of us has been given a very specific gift by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? It's not to lead massive organizations, but hopefully for some of you it will be. But all of us have a gift. Compassion, kindness, our character, our integrity, our trust, our ability to make people feel better. All of us have this gift. You make up a very small elite, people who have had the luxury of an education, the ability to come to university, and I think the opportunity to be part of Isoc. Do you know how small that makes you? I'm even smaller. There's not many Zaras. Actually, there's none. I'm the only one in this row. My point really is, from what I've learned is, there just isn't enough of us with a strategic and coordinated approach, with a clear ask, and with a clear understanding of ourselves. When I think about what am I going to deliver, I also think about who am I going to become at the end of that process. And that's what you have to ask yourself in this journey in Isoc too, which is
أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما